All right, shalom, shalom. I'm going to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders, a great millstone that rule well, that teach well, while learn the truth. 100% according to the Bible. I also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men, the prophets, the servants, scattered abroad the four corners of the earth, and shalom to the Akwaf, which are the sisters that are sincere in your children, shalom. And in today's video, as you brothers and sisters can see, going to be another update video. As you can see, it says emergency alert, Trump to remove all Ukraine weapons restrictions, Russian summer offensive begins, right? So I'm going to get into this video that we got from NY Prepper. And it's basically going to be a quick update of, basically all of the things that are occurring around the earth, militarily, because we know ultimately everything is building up to this third world war, man. That's why we continue to keep seeing these signs happening in the earth, man. We're continuing to see the influx and the intensity of this war, man, especially that Russia and Ukraine situation. That scenario is going to continue to keep building up and building up. And we know ultimately that Russia and the United States will go at it with one another. They're going to shoot missiles at each other, man. It's part of prophecy. And we know Russia will ultimately be the leading nation that is going to, right along with America's allies and these other different countries that are going to come together in unison to destroy this place, Babylon, man. So we're beginning to see that now with, Vladimir Putin and Trump being at odds with one another, and it's right around the time where you had Trump talking about peace, man. That's why he's ultimately, going at Vladimir Putin, because allegedly they came up with a peace deal, to stop the violence and all of the bombing of the buildings and et cetera in Ukraine. But, Vladimir Putin and Russia, and as well as Zelensky in Ukraine, they're continuing to, shoot missiles at each other, man. And, that's what Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai ultimately wants to allow to happen, man, because we're living in a time right now, as it tells you in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, right? I'm going to go to that real quick. Chapter 3, and I'm going to read verse 8, all right? In the KJV, and it says, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. We're in a time of war right now, brothers and sisters. That's the spirit that Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai has ultimately in this earth right now, man. That's why you're seeing all of these different nations fight against one another. That's why you're seeing these different kingdoms being divided and etc., man, because the Lord is ultimately, allowing his spirit to be made manifest, because all of it is building up for biblical prophecy, which is going to lead up to the battle of Armageddon, man, which is the third world's war. And that's what everything is building up to. So, I'm also get this precept right here that just furthermore proven that there won't be any peace, man. But, this is what you see happening in the earth. This is the time we're in. This is 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 1, KJV. It says, but of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, so cometh as a thief in the night. And this is the point, verse 3 right here, because this is what you've been hearing everybody talk about, mainly Donald Trump. Since he's came into the White House, that's all he's been pushing for these nations, to have peace, to, basically to stop these wars. That's what his promise was to all of you Babylonians, man. That's what he made the people believe when he first came into the office, that he's going to stop the conflict in Israel and Iran. He's going to stop the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And we don't see him stopping anything, man. We just continuing to see these things get more worse and worse. And that's ultimately because, like I said, the Lord is the one that's controlling and orchestrating everything. And he doesn't want peace to come, man. The Lord wants destruction, man. And that's what's going to happen. So this is 1 Thessalonians 5:3. For when they shall say peace and safety, right, which is what they're talking about now in the news, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, right? As travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape, man. And that's what's going to happen, man. This destruction that's soon to come to this place, America, and around the world, it's going to be suddenly, man. When the Lord allowed these prophecies to hit full swing and things start to begin to actually take place and manifest, man, it's going to be suddenly. People's not going to be expecting it, man. It's going to come upon them unawares, like a thief, So I'm going to get into this video so we can basically hear what it is that, NY Prepper is saying with the update. But before I start the video, I want to say fair use on the 1976 Copyright Act. I'm not getting paid for this video. This is only for educational purposes only. So with that being said, fair use.
States, and we have some major.
All right, and you see that right there. Salakia. But you see that, brothers and sisters, right there. That was from Donald Trump. He left that tweet, I believe, maybe a day or two ago after, Vladimir Putin bombed Ukraine. After they bombed each other, because they're both, targeting each other. It says, what Vladimir Putin doesn't realize is that if it weren't for me, lots of really bad things would have already happened to Russia. And I mean really bad. He's playing with fire, right? So like I said, these are threats, man, and the Lord said that we're living in these times now. Let me go to that precept. This is St. Matthew chapter 24, because those are bold threats that Donald Trump is making, man. And like I said, this is only going to intensify the beef between America and Russia, man. Because we know that ultimately, like I said before, Russia is going to lead the charge, as it tells us in Ezekiel 38, to be the main nation that is going to be responsible for America's destruction, man, right along with America's allies and these other countries that are going up against this place. But we're seeing everything build up to ultimately these countries, nuking one another, man, because that's what's going to happen in the Third World War. They're going to nuke each other, man, but ultimately America is going to be ultimately destroyed, right? So this is St. Matthew 24:6 in the KJV. It says, and ye shall hear of wars, right, and rumors of wars, right, because that's a rumor of war that Trump is saying, man, basically telling, Putin he's playing with fire and, it can get ugly for him and things of that nature. Those are some real bold rumors to make, and that's how we're living in the end of this place, America, man, and that soon to come, that a lot of judgment is about to be brought forth from Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, man. Right? And it says, see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet, right? And we know ultimately that nuclear destruction of Babylon won't come to effect until that MOTB CHIP is made mandatory, So once that hits the scene, which we see coming soon, right? Because everything else is speeding up. So we know that this prophecy with the charagma is going to speed up as well. Just like World War III is intensifying, Jacob's trouble is intensifying. Everything is getting worse and worse by the day, man. Minute by minute, second by second, man. Is becoming more evil in the earth, man. As it tells you in 2nd Esdras 14, I'm going to get that. And I'm going to read verse 16, right? And it says, for yet greater evils, right, meaning bad times, than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. And those greater evils, man, are going to be the times of World War III that's fastly approaching, and everything else that Yahweh Shem Yahushua is about to bring upon this earth, man. It's about to get real bad out here for you people, man, that are the 2/3 and heathens, man. Because the Lord is kicking up prophecy and allowing things to, fulfill in full swing, man. Things are speeding up now. And we know ultimately, as it tells us in St. Matthew 24:22, that the Lord is ultimately speeding up the time for his elect's sake. And I'm going to get that precept real quick, then I'll get into the video. But this is why we're seeing prophecy speed up, man, because it's all for the Lord's elect to be delivered, man. This is St. Matthew chapter 24, verse 22 in the KJV, and it says, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, right? That's telling you how bad it's about to get soon to come. But for the elect's sake, the 144,000, 1/3, those days should be shortened, man. And that's the only people that the Lord is going to have mercy upon in these times that we're coming into, of the World War III, of Jacob's trouble, of the hour of temptation. Everybody else that's not of the Lord elect, man, is going to be ugly for you when these events to begin to, actually take place, man, and to manifest. Right? So I'm going to get into this video.
I'm here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in related to the Ukraine war. So it looks like Trump is getting ready to punish Putin for not signing a ceasefire deal with Ukraine. Trump appears to have really lost it, and he's been posting on social media over the weekend all kinds of stuff about Putin. So I want to update you on that, but it does look like Trump is about to impose sanctions on Russia and lift all restrictions on U.S. weapons in Ukraine. Okay, so there will not be any restrictions on U.S. weapons used by Ukraine. This is coming in from various sources. But before I get into all of that, I want to just mention also that the Russians have occupied 4 settlements in the Sumy Oblast overnight. The settlements of Novenki.
Right, so we get a little gist of what it is he's talking about, but this thing is constantly heating up by this moment, man. And like I said, with Trump basically, giving Ukraine weapons, because that's what Joe Biden was doing when he was in office. What continued to allow the war to escalate was America was sending Ukraine weapons and bombs. Because ultimately, if they didn't have the support of America, Ukraine would have been lost to Russia, of course. But due to America sending them weapons and tanks and all of these different types of things, has ultimately been allowing them to last in the fight for a bit longer. But here it is, Trump is getting ready to basically send them more missiles and more probably money for military might and things of that nature. And like I said before, this is only going to continue to increase the tensions between Babylon the Great and Russia, man. And this is what's ultimately going to lead to those nukes being shot off, man. So that's what's coming. So I'm gonna get another precept. I'm gonna go to the book of Revelations, chapter 11, verse 14 in the KJV. It said the second war was past, representing the Second World War, which have already taken place, And it said, and behold, the third woe, meaning this third world's war, which will be a nuclear war, cometh quickly, man. And we're seeing everything that is happening in the earth, between America, Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, the little hats over there in the land of Israel, the Iranians, everything that is happening and occurring at this moment is ultimately leading up to this third world's war, man, which is going to come, man, which is a part of biblical prophecy, So yeah, that's pretty much everything I had to say with today's video. Like I said, just a quick update of, things that are happening. But if you brothers and sisters want to finish watching the video, the name of the guy's channel is NY Prepper. If you want to continue to keep watching to see what's going on. But yeah, these things are getting worse and worse about a day, man. So with that being said, to the next time, I'm going to say shalom to the elect.